Hi, how are you? Welcome back. So today we are going to speak about supporting an autistic child in a school. So how do we support autistic students in our schools? So the first one is about communication. How do we go about communication? The communication must be clear, consistent. There has to be a certain system we are using for us to communicate to autistic children. So for teachers, your communication should be clear. The instructions should be clear. The non-verbal cues that you're using should be cues that an autistic student can be able to understand. The instructions broken down into smaller parts in a way that that student will understand. Then be consistent. The same instruction or the same way you give instructions today should be the same way you give those instructions tomorrow. The moment you change the system of giving instructions, the child will not be able to understand. The non-verbal cues should also be consistent and make sure that you're clear. Most of the autistic children tend to read the lips as they listen to you. Just make sure that you speak slowly and you speak clear. For the parents at home, communicate to the teachers. Tell them which system works for your child, which particular way of communication works for your student, right? And for the school, train and create awareness amongst the staff. So the other one is IEP, Individual Education Plan. Now this is a very important document. Now how do you go about it? The teachers get to sit down and create the IEP. Each autistic child has a certain plan. And what you get in an IEP, tasks that are modified, modifications of tasks and learning resources, differentiated tasks, okay? The strength of that autistic child, the weaknesses, and also the behaviors. So the IEP is a summary or a sum total of ways to actually teach that child. But when you're making the IEP, the parent should be present. So the parent are part of the puzzle of creating the IEP. And the school should introduce the IEPs in the staff meetings, and every other staff should be able to read and understand the IEP and use it in class. The other one that is very important is a sensory-friendly classroom. What does that mean? That the activities that teachers get to do in class together with the other students that are sensory sensitive. An autistic child or student sometimes will get sensory overload. Why? Because of maybe the noise that's in that class, the light, all right? Maybe the smell and the scents that are in that class. So how do you go about it? Make sure you've created a safe place that child can be able to go, that student can be able to go, a quiet, safe place when everything is overwhelming. They can just go there, sit, relax. It's a quiet place and they get to do their work. Ensure that the lighting that you're using in that class is soft light, right? And if a child has sensitivity when it comes to hearing some voices or some sounds, you can use a noise cancellation gadget. And most of the time it's a headphone that these students get to wear, and it cancels the noise they really don't want to hear. So deal with the light, deal with the sound, and try as much as possible not to use strong scents in the classroom, okay? Use colors that autistic children love, because there's some colors that are shouting and maybe that child will not be able to learn in such an environment. But how does the school come in? Just make sure that in your budget, you have a budget that allows you to buy gadgets that help autistic students. And also create nice quiet places for these students, all right? Create awareness in the school such that the students and the school understand that some activities can really create sensory overload, and that will affect the behavior of the child. So the other one is behavioral support. We need to find ways to really support the students in a positive way. How do you do that? When they do something nice, give them a token. hug them, clap for them. How do you ensure that they study in a positive attitude? How do you raise that in class? Okay, so create a system in such a manner. If that child finishes a certain task, you give them a token, you can give them a clap, you can put a star in their work. Find a system that works. Discuss with the parents. What do parents do at home? How do they award or reward that child? And you can use the similar system back in school. Okay. Last but not least, inclusion. How do you include that child in the school? Make sure you include them. Let them be in a normal setup, just like the rest of the students. Let them not feel like they're not part of the school. So if it's the activities, if it's even learning class, make sure they are included. If it's sports activities, let them be able to participate in the sports activities. If it's teaching them, do not put them alone in other spaces. They study alone and then can really damage their attitude and the experience in their class. Thank you so much, and see you soon as we watch and learn the other information.